Hello, this is John Sims with the Avaya Serviceability Engineering team. In this video, we'll discuss how to prep System Manager and then perform a certificate exchange with the Avaya B5800 branch gateway. The Avaya B5800 branch gateway is unique in that it forms a chain of trust relationship with the System Manager. The B5800 will explicitly trust System Manager by accepting a signed certificate generated from System Manager. This certificate is then stored in the B5800 Trusted Certificate Store, and once established, System Manager will have explicit management rights of the trusting B5800. This trust relationship is not optional when System Manager is deployed, and B5800 must be part of the System Manager trust domain. B5800 will use Simple Certificate Enrollment Protocol, known as SCEP, to acquire the self-signed certificate from System Manager. Okay, as you can see, I'm logged into System Manager 6.2 on the main screen, the main management screen, and I click on Security. Under the Security page, I'll then expand Certificates and then click into Authority. Now once we're in Authority, we're going to add an end entity. So we have some options here on the entity profile that are baked into System Manager. I'm going to select inbound outbound TLS, which is the default. I'm going to give it a username which matches my B5800 system name, which is good practice, and I'm providing a certificate password that I also have to confirm. That's going to be used as the SCEP password. You'll see I tab down to common name. I'm also going to marry that up with the system name and the username. Again, good practice. We're going to accept the defaults of ID client server, a user-generated certificate. I'm going to select Add End Entity, and you see at the top we are refreshed with a page saying that the end entity SIMS B5800 was added successfully. So we'll head back to List, Edit End Entities. Of the status All, we'll see how many entities are built on this system. I'll scroll down, and you see I have a certificate resting in the Certificate Authority or Certificate Store of SIMS B5800. It has a status. There's a SIMS B5800. It has a status of new. That's important. We'll look at that again later. Keeping in mind the new status means System Manager has fully prepared the certificate for exchange with an end entity. So you're looking live right now at System Monitor of a B5800. I'm going to clear the screen and then go into Filters, Trace Options. I'm going to head to the Services tab. In the Services tab, I'm going to select HTTP. We're going to log all HTTP events in and out of the B5800. The reason for this is the SCEP exchange makes use of web services on the B5800, making use of HTTP. So I've now transitioned to the IP Office or B5800 Manager, and we're going to go to Advanced Security Settings. We need to pull the security configuration of the B5800 switch. So with the proper credentials, you see I'm logging in and I'm pulling a security configuration into Manager. Now we're going to be met with this default warning that we have everything set for defaults. We'll hit OK to that. I'll head to System and then Certificates tab. Now right off the bat, you see we have a default system. We have the B5800 identity certificate that includes the MAC address .avaya.com. And the first thing we're going to do is actually delete that, and it's going to give us a warning that we may lose response from the B5800 while we do this. We're going to enter the certificate name that we just created, SIMS B5800. That's going to be our new identity name, and we do not hit that set button. We just leave it. We just enter that. As you see me entering that there in that field, we're going to leave certificate and management telephony checks to none. Now you may have a SCEP product certificate authority already installed, and that is not the certificate we're after. That's for TLS and also for use with WebLM. That is delivered through product upgrades. SCEP settings we're going to set to active. We're going to leave the request interval at 120 seconds. We'll leave the server port on 443, and we'll also leave the SCEP URI as its default. What you're going to see me plug in here for the SCEP server is HTTPS and the IP address of your System Manager server. So you'll see I'll plug in the IP address of the System Manager that we're going to facilitate a certificate exchange with. And then the last field we have to take care of is the SCEP password. Now that's the same password that we set when we created the certificate, when we prepped that on System Manager. So once again, you use that same password as your SCEP password. I'll click OK, and then I'll save the security configuration. So we're looking live again on System Monitor. We're set to trace the SCEP exchange, and if we give it a minute or two, you'll see that this exchange occurs and we properly log it. There it's starting to fly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to head up to the top of the screen and I'm going to pause the tracing on this window, and then we'll scroll up and we'll take a look at the tracing together. So we see right off the bat that we are initiating a SCEP get CA cert, and you'll see that it's reaching out to your SCEP server or System Manager server to get the cert, and that request has been sent. And then we also, from the SCEP server, we get an initiating the PKS request, and then the PKS request is sent. And then if we scroll down, we get lots of good news in the trace that we received it, we parsed it, there was a certificate success message, and then that the CA cert was added to the trusted certificate store of the B5800. So now if we look back on System Manager under the Certificate Authority, I'm going to scroll down. You see how that status is still new. Well, we need to reload the end entities in the system. So I'll click the reload button. We'll give it a second here to let the screen refresh, which it is doing now. If I scroll back down, you see that the SIMS B5800 certificate has now been generated, which means the end entity certificate exchange has occurred. If I head back into the B5800 Manager client and pull the security configuration again into the Manager client, you see me provide proper credentials, again with our warning. And we'll look at what's changed. Under System Certificates tab, we have our SIMS B5800 certificate name. We now have a default cert added to the Trusted Certificate Store. If I click View and view that cert, you'll see under Details, if I scroll down, the issuer is Avaya Management Default, thus completing our certificate exchange between System Manager and the B5800 branch gateway. Now there's one final adjustment to make. For the Receive Certificate checks for management interfaces, you'll want to set that to medium. With that setting, the B5800 will enforce the use of the certificates, and you'll see I'll click OK and save up the configuration, thus completing our exercise. Thank you for your time today. We welcome comments, questions, and feedback at mentor@avaya.com or on Twitter @AvayaMentor. For more details or related information, please visit support.avaya.com. Thank you for choosing Avaya.